Welcome to CBRE Real Talk Podcast, Episode 2. My name is Châm, being in charge of Industrial and Logistics. This year marks the 20th anniversary of CBRE in Vietnam. On this Real Talk series is one of the activities CBRE would like to thank our clients by bringing the hottest market trends, innovation, ideas, and insight to the future. We hope our audience will enjoy this series. Today, we discuss about one of very interesting sector that recently received a lot of spotlight in real estate. It used to be the simple assets, but had lately turned into the attractive one. We're talking about warehousing among the logistic and supply chain. Very delighted to welcome Remco Enders, Managing Director of DSV Vietnam, the global transport and logistics company with more than 20 years collectively in Vietnam. He will co-host the podcast with me.
Well, thank you for having me and participating in the podcast. I hope my thoughts or experience are interesting for the people listening. Maybe for my background, I've been in warehousing for almost 20 years, starting in Europe and moving to China, Thailand, and finally I arrived in Vietnam about 3 years ago. And my assignment is to develop the DSV warehousing services and footprint. After the Panalpina acquisition and back in 2021, we also integrated the 𝗥𝗲𝗋𝗋 company into DSV.
Wow, impressive. Remco, please share us more about DSV servicing and your role.
So DSV operates with different divisions, an international freight division with air freight and ocean freight, and separately warehousing or contract logistics, or what DSV calls the solutions division. This is a different company structure from many of our peers. While most consider warehousing a department in the overall company, DSV separates this service as a separate core business and organization. So my role is within the solutions division, including warehousing with pick-pack activities, value-added services like labeling, payment collection, and order or web shop management. And then we also provide repair center services and final mile distribution, domestic transport, and customs clearance.
Thank you for the nice warm-up. Now let's start with the topic for today's discussion, warehousing. We all know that warehouse play an important role in the operation and flow of the supply chain and logistics. In both North and South Vietnam, we see a significant trend of modern warehouse leading to new supply. Remco, I know you spent many years working in China before Vietnam. What is your opinion about this?
Well, in general, for Vietnamese warehousing, we have upgraded from full pallet in and out, put it on a boat, to fulfillment centers for consumer products and line feeding operation for production logistics. So yes, we see many new investors and capacity coming into the market at international standards. This helps to change the overseas perception of the maturity of the Vietnamese warehousing market and its capabilities.
Indeed. In 2022, Vietnam welcomed a large supply of new modern warehouses, over 900,000 square meters. We expect to see additional 2.6 million square meter new warehouse in the next 3 years. These are very impressive numbers, and it's a great potential market in terms of development. Many experienced developers come and bring their know-how expertise, and we can see it very clearly throughout their delivery. From the discipline development study, warehouse design, upgrading specification both outside and inside warehouse, and focus more on the tenant operation. New warehouses are much better and more sustainable location-wise. For example, developers who invest in land acquisition consider for zoning and infrastructure not only for current potential, but also for the next wave of development where the new supply chain may go.
Well, that's interesting, Châm. But what do you think about rental outlook with this supply coming up? Will supply ever outgrow demand? Because 3 years ago I signed a 9-year lease and I agreed the rates up until 2030. So this is based on my projection that market rates would increase more than my agreement with the landlord. However, if supply would outgrow demand, my approach might not turn out to be so productive. So maybe you call me in 5 years and I'll let you know if the rate and location strategy turned out to be a brilliant move, or maybe not.
Well, rental was increasing indeed. For instance, field location recorded rent growth of 20% over the last 3 years. There is no vacancy left. One of the key reasons that the land availability with zoning for logistics are running out. So for the new supply we just mentioned about are distributed fairly to newly developed locations, not concentrated into one direction or location. So for rental growth, we should better look into location by location wisely. Prime locations surely will remain hard. For new location, it might be challenging for leasing competition for landlord. And yes, there's still a chance for occupier to make a long-term lease commitment to acquire the long-term benefits.
Okay. Well, as a professional warehousing company, the challenge for us is to balance cost of development. So we focus on increasing the storage density rather than ground stacking like in the good old days. We install very narrow aisle racking or build a mezzanine. So our internal indicator for success is based on the rental per storage unit rather than the rental per square meter.
Right. And one good point in this way of supply that 70% will be in modern and international specs at a higher ceiling from 8, 9, 11 meter, better floor loading of 3 or even 5 tons, more duct and door provision, loading space and the flooring are well taken care. The firefighting system compliance is getting more complicated with detailed requirements. Upgrading an old warehouse to meet these specifications is costly and time consuming. Find a new space complying with the revised firefighting system is a must trend for tenant, we think so. In addition to the local standards, we see some developers are willing to invest more to upgrade to the higher standard ESFR, for example, to support clients in later racking setup and save costs. And we see the positive response from clients actually. We understand the cost of relocation from current facility to the new ones or renting the new space can sometimes pricey and challenging. But in the long term, with benefits of operation and business sustainability, we believe modern warehouse will be appreciated.
Oh, surely. Actually, I'm very happy to see that various areas around Ho Chi Minh City are developing. In the north, we've got 𝗣nci𝗱𝗰𝘀𝗀, then Long An with Chai Nhau and SLP, BW, and in Dong Nai with, for example, Dai Warehouse. So for DSV, our footprint strategy is that we've chosen various locations based on the logistics function of the warehouse. So warehouses for imported consumer goods could be in a different location compared to an export consolidation or an industrial warehouse. So I found it hard to explain to my European colleagues that some of my customers in Vietnam still consider warehouses within a 40-kilometer distance as too far away to consider or too far away to consolidate. While actually my Dutch colleagues consolidate sites in a radius of 150 kilometers, and they will still generate benefits of scale when they put everything into a 300,000 square meter DSV campus.
Interesting. 3 years ago, when we discussed with investors or the occupiers, they said 30 kilometers is the maximum they want to go. Now flexible to 35, 40 kilometers. Actually, the landscape for industrial hub is changing as well. We can see the new developments of industrial parks are going beyond the traditional hubs in fast pace. Let's take into the new location with good connectivity and enjoy the proximity to Ho Chi Minh City. Long An as example, or even go to the tier 2 province. The government is supporting and investing in highways and interprovincial roads. We have the Trail Expressway component in the phase 2 of the north and the south, and many other projects will commence construction this year. We think not very long from now on, 1.5 hours to 2 hours traveling to the industrial park will become more pleasant. Okay, and compact for location with good proximity into Ho Chi Minh City. How do you think about two-story warehouse? This is not new in developed country, but is emerging in Vietnam. And of course, we all know single story is the most preferred structure. Customer may hesitate to go up if they still are the choice.
Yeah, certainly. So multi-level warehouses can work in a dense area to optimize utilization. However, you need to get the design right to avoid losing too much space on the ground floor or not having sufficient ceiling height on the second floor. Right. Also, the right kind of logistics profile and access play an important role. But in general, as we've seen in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, yes, second level to 12 level warehouses can be an excellent alternative to more space intensive single level warehouses.
Oh, right, thank you. I think it takes time to educate the market, but it will not take long in Vietnam. There are a few two-story ramp-up warehouse in Greater Ho Chi Minh City just completed nicely and ready to put into operation. There will be more multi-story warehouse coming up from institutional developers surrounding Ho Chi Minh City in the next 3 years and would carefully design space to capture the demand. This is the inevitable trend to have new warehouses set closer to the consumer hubs.
Well, location is key, right? So multi-stories are mostly put close to the urban areas, which means consumer electronics, fashion, cosmetics and such. So light and small consumer goods, and that's a general statement, of course.
Alright, and one more question for warehouse. We'd love to hear your opinion about cold chain. What's the key thing to set up the cold chain warehouse facility in your view?
Well, currently demand is much bigger than supply. So what you need to consider is that key in cold chain warehousing is building from scratch instead of putting a big ass fridge into a standard warehouse, because this would be a hugely energy consuming operation.
Yes, I agree. I see the similar comment from the client. So, and continue, we know that DSV is very active in promoting the sustainability. Speaking of green and sustainable, do you think the new warehouse facility helping us to adapt to this trend?
Yes, surely. In general, a new warehouse is a more sustainable warehouse. So within DSV, for the Scope 1 sustainability, the direct emissions, I feel we are ahead of the wave by using LED light, motion sensors and natural light mostly. All of our forklifts are changed to electric, and now we're shifting to lithium batteries as well. We make sure waste management is top of mind and we educate our teams. And on every site we've got a sustainability program and initiatives going on. So one of these is a battery exchange program. When colleagues have empty batteries, the company will exchange them for full ones, and that way we ensure that the empty ones are properly disposed of and they don't make it into the general waste or into nature. So globally within DSV we have about 135 projects within our sustainability organization and with our supply chain partners to reach the ambitious targets and lead our organization and the industry towards a more sustainable future.
It's always great to hear companies are trying hard to support sustainability value. Not only occupiers, but also the warehouse investors nowadays look to strengthen their ESG performance. Building specifications incorporate more green features. Focus area can include, but not limited to, green certification, energy saving, and green operations. Thank you. Okay, so what will you say for the forecast of logistics in 2023, given the last 2 years of supply chain disruption?
Well, that's a good one. Actually, in the past 2 years, many people and my friends during the weekend asked me about the freight market and the rate developments, as these impact any company that's moving goods around the world.
Right, the freight cost development is a very hot topic.
Yeah, so from an international freight point of view, let me just share the big question for 2023 is, are we going to experience a hard or soft landing? So after first quarter almost completed, some key points about where the market is today. Let me share those to avoid people asking me during the weekend. So on sea freight, actually carriers have kept a high level of blank sailings during the first quarter. So they tried to stabilize the rate levels, but actually rates kept going down on all of our trade lanes. So actually they've reached pre-COVID levels for most of them. Now, capacity is still far outpacing demand when the number of orders have not yet resumed. So this is because of the low consumer confidence in the US or Europe. So more vessels are supposed to be delivered and come into the market in 2023. So then I think we can expect the outlook to remain quite gloomy for the carriers in 23.
Well, that's for the sea freight, and how's about the orders?
Well, air freight market was a bit improved thanks to the increase in passenger business. So belly freight, there's more flights, hence there's more capacity. Then China reopened, and this was also pushing the freight rates down quite a bit.
Well, so there would be some uncertain but challenging and also opportunity for the market. So in short, Remco, may I hear your opinion about the opportunity for Vietnam in terms of logistic development?
Well, I reckon that as Vietnam is developing, becoming more mature from a logistics point of view, growing, the consumer base with disposable income, then I think we are heading into a bright future for Vietnam, the Vietnamese people, but also the businesses operating here.
Well, thank you so much. And alright, this question toward the end for today's podcast. Thank you again for your time with us and sharing to the audience. We hope DSV will continue to grow business in Vietnam.
Sure, well, happy to be here and sharing my view on the market developments. For listeners, keep in mind that DSV is ready to serve your logistics needs. You'll be able to find us.
Sure. And please stay tuned for the next episode of CBRE Real Talk podcast in May. Thank you, everyone.